I was just tired. I was like, well, what fixes everything in the world? I just asked myself that question in my room, like, and something thought popped into my brain. Something told me that it's the Ten Commandments. Because I wanted to tell y'all about my testimony. Basically, my testimony starts with my early addiction to weed, and I started smoking weed when I was 16, and I didn't find out that weed can ruin things in people's lives until I was a senior, because everything was about weed. No, I couldn't think about nothing else. Like I, when COVID hit, there was an option for online schooling where you didn't have to come in and get drug tested, and yes, that was the reason that I did go online so I could smoke weed and not get drug tested. But they caught me anyway because I got arrested, and I got arrested. I ruined my senior track season. Because of that, I got weak from not lifting. I lost all my muscle. That my senior season was supposed to be really good, but kind of ruined it all due to the weed, and that just tells me that the devil placed it into my life to make me complacent and not really care about much else. And I mean that didn't kill my mental too much. Uh, I mean going to jail did. I mean I was only there for 3 days, but that just while you're sitting in there, you're just thinking about all of what could happen after, how you just ruined your life. Like I was set to go to college to play football, but I mean, me smoking weed didn't ruin the college thing. I just decided not to go. Something in me just did not want me to go. I didn't think that it was a good idea to go spend all that money to be in debt when you can learn skills on the side that you don't need school for. Like, I became a welder shortly after I graduated, maybe a year, and I didn't go to school for that. Um, so that was a good opportunity. I mean, that I've stayed there for a year, but I don't like the whole 9 to 5 thing. Like, I'm trying to create my own life, and I mean, if that's for you, then by all means, go ahead. But I just think that my life is going to take me to a greater place, and I hope that I get to manage my own success one day. But basically, through smoking weed, there is no purpose through weed. Like you don't get fulfillment by smoking weed. It's just a coping mechanism for a lot of people. Like coping with life, daily struggles. You just kind of come home after a long day and smoke and just forget about everything is what it was for me. And that just leads you to depression, like point blank, like utter darkness. Like I mean, some people might be ignorant and they don't know any better, but I knew something inside me. It wasn't thanks to me. I have to give thanks to God for giving me that conviction to say that this isn't for you anymore, and you could be doing things with your time if you would put this down. You just got to put it down, and I see the truth in it. I see the truth. It's not for me. I notice how weed can be good for people with medical issues, but I do not have any medical issues. I have a little bit of arthritis in my hands, but I do not need anything to make me feel better. So after being depressed for a while, you start to realize that I mean if you want any progression in life, you will realize that you need to start finding stuff out. Like I just got a craving for knowledge out of nowhere, and my craving for knowledge didn't lead me to the right place in the beginning. I started to learn about the occult and New Age spirituality that all the younger generation is obsessed with right now, like zodiac signs and tarot cards and palm readings, mediums, psychics. But I mean, they just don't understand that that's inviting darkness into your life. Like the spirit guides that people talk about that they see or talk to or communicate with, those are actual demons. Like they they will deceive you to the point where you'll want to follow them, because I've had experiences with people who could see things, and I that was before I was knowledgeable. Like I did not know that what they were talking about was evil. Like basically, like things being attached to people, and like cabinets opening in their house. And I mean, these people didn't have God when that happened. And I've personally never experienced seeing anything. I think that's partly due to me being guided, being having in a household of that's holy. I won't say that far, but we are religious. We are Christian in this household, and I don't think that Jesus would allow that darkness to enter this household or my life or my parents' life. So yeah, so that's basically out of the picture. Um, well, it didn't. I didn't kick the occult stuff until I was just tired. I was like, what fixes everything in the world? I just asked myself that question in my room, like, and something thought popped into my brain. Something told me that it's the Ten Commandments. Because if everybody in the world would follow the Ten Commandments to a T, there wouldn't be sin. And if that's the case, then that means that sin does not come from God. God comes, sin comes from free will of humans. We all, as humans, have free will, and God will never interfere with our free will. That's why we innately know what is right and wrong, but have the choice to make the bad decision. Like some people might have a gut feeling that things aren't right, but they'll still go with it, surrounded by the wrong people or the wrong environment. You just get sucked into things that aren't right, and you just know because they're not sitting right in your gut. Like you, something, it's the conviction. I'm telling you, if you desire a connection with God, then you might start to get a conviction about things that you didn't feel bad about before. So that's basically how I got to know that Jesus was the truth, because the Ten Commandments are the truth. If you follow them, there's no evil in the world. It ceases to exist. And all sin is man made. So you can't, uh, I mean, an atheist will constantly bring up, well, why would God allow all this pain and suffering? He doesn't have any say in it, because it's our free will that caused it, our sin that caused it. I'll always go back to the beginning of time, because if we came from two people, which we did, Adam and Eve, things were pure back then. There wasn't much sin going on until after they disobeyed God and ate from the tree of knowledge. And he specifically asked them not to. He told them not to. And that's sin. That's sin right there. Disobeying God when he told you what not to do. He told them not to protect them. They are not rules. Like the things that he puts in place in the Ten Commandments and the things that are sin, they're not rules. They're not to keep you from experiencing fun. They're to protect you from destroying yourself. So it's just very easy for me to understand now, coming from somebody who was not in touch with God at all at one point in time. I was always spiritual, always believed that there was a higher being, but I didn't know if it was Jesus of the Bible or God of the Bible. At that point, it was set in stone for me. Like, I went to my church again that I had been away from for 15 years, got baptized, and redevoted my life to God. And I mean, even it's just crazy to me to even think about because I have a certain peace that I didn't have before. I just, something inside my soul knows that things are going to work in the right direction as long as I keep trusting in God and His purpose and His will in my life. And it's real easy for you too. Like you just got to do the same thing and just watch the events unfold in your life. Like things will start happening. You'll start making connections to the point where it's just undeniable that this is Jesus. This is Jesus doing this, and it's not you. Like would have never been able to do these things before. But it's enough. It's enough for me to have faith in Him. And I got a girlfriend like shortly after. Well, while I was dabbling in the occult stuff, I got a girlfriend, and I mean, the whole time we were together, I went through this transformation of learning all this information and turning to God again. And I took her to church with me. She got saved. Thank you, God. Like, thank you for that because she has social anxiety. Like, there's nothing in my mind that says that. I mean, she's strong, so she could have done it on her own, but I don't think that in a church full of people that she's unfamiliar with, an environment that she's unfamiliar with, that she would have ever raised her hand when my preacher said, "Is there anybody in the audience that would like to devote their life to Jesus and get saved today?" She hesitated for a second, and I was looking, I was hoping, but I wasn't gonna nudge, I wasn't gonna interfere with her decision. And she rose her hand, went up to the front of the auditorium, and had got saved by one of the church members, and that's amazing. Like my other friend Anthony, he's been on the same journey with me. Like the same time that I turned to God, he came over the same day with a Bible. Like tell me that's not God. Like tell me that's not God putting things together in my life and his life for a better purpose. Like and then we just started talking about it. That's who I talked about Christianity with for a long time. That's who I got to understand it better with, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for people like that in my life because there's really no other way at this point. Like the way the world's going and how people are with each other, like people are just so selfish and they don't want to give to nobody else, or they just only think about their self. And there's no place for that. Like we're running out of time. We're in the end times, as though I believe, and yeah, tomorrow isn't good enough. Like we got to bring people to God today. Don't be scared to tell people what you think because it'll go for nothing. What if you get to heaven and you see all the people that you had a chance to talk to and they're like, "Well, why didn't you tell me?" I think you'd feel pretty bad. I think you'd feel pretty bad having the knowledge and not giving it to people. So that's basically how I got to YouTube. Like I've always watched YouTube. Like growing up, I've always enjoyed watching other people make content. And I mean, I'm not nowhere near as good at it as I should be. I'm just starting, but that's why I asked for some patience and some people to bear with me during this process of me learning. And my video edits aren't that good yet, but I mean, at least I'm on here trying, I guess, because it took me a long time to get to this point to even try. And yeah, so I hope my testimony resonates with some of you. I hope that you can take some advice or knowledge from this if you're doubtful again. Like, but yeah, peace.